Well, baby, I'm on it with a bottle of wine and an old dirt road. Are you ready to go? Hey, thanks everybody for joining us today. Live Music Nation podcast. I'm your host, Jake Gill. Today we're with Joel Aalberts.
It is Aalberts.
It is Aalberts. Lensic Performing Arts Center. How you doing, Joel?
I'm good. How are you, Jake?
Good, good. Hey, Joel, give us a little background on you, where you grew up, and how you came to this position at the Arts Center.
I grew up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and I went to the University of Iowa, and my first presenting job was at Hancher Auditorium at the UI, and I was there for about 8 years. And with the way that it is in arts presenting, is if you don't live in a big city, you have to go to where the work is. So I've worked in a lot of different places. I was at Hancher. I then went to work for the School of Music at the University of Michigan. Presenting organization at the University of Arizona, a little shot at Dartmouth College, opened a new performing arts center in Bloomington, Illinois, and then to East.
Well, baby, I'm on it with a bottle of wine and an old dirt road. Are you ready to go?
So, and I will stay here because I'm done.
You're done. You're done. Well, yeah. I mean, Santa Fe is beautiful, so it's not
it's a great place.
A bad place.
Yeah, it's a terrific theater, and I'm happy to be here.
So. Quite the progression as you go through to get where you're at. What was that like for you? Was that just a matter of making connections, or just was it a matter of learning different roles and different responsibilities and then progressing your way through?
You know, each of those facilities was really different in a lot of ways, from being major university presenting organizations, one municipally run theater. And then, you know, the Lensic is a true nonprofit. And so each of them, and then also you think about geography and that, you know, I mean, we are all one country, but we are, you know, every place is so very different in the way that you engage, in the way that you do things and socialize and find entertainment. And, you know, so there are tweaks and nuances to each one of those places that's fairly unique. Because of the audiences that you're attracting and the kinds of shows that you can do. And that's really very much guided by the size of your space and its technical abilities and all of those things, as well as your budget and the support that you have to make those things happen. And so, you know, there are different applications that go to each one of the venues and, you know, how you do it and what you do. But the consistent thing is that you know, we're all kind of built to be in a room with other people, you know, that there's something special in sharing a live performing arts experience. It's good for you. It's way better than sitting and watching television. You know, it's a thing that shapes your community in a way that's really positive. You know, it's great for economic development. It's great for quality of life. Even in Santa Fe, people who are, you know, this is a great arts community, and you know, we have folks who retire here from San Francisco and New York and LA and, you know, all over. And a big deal of it is that there is a place that you can see shows throughout the year. That's an important part of life.
How hard was COVID for you personally to shut down for so long? Because New Mexico was one of the strictest, and for a lot of good reasons.
Yeah.
But your restrictions were so tight for so much longer than the rest of the country.
Well, you know, on a personal level, I totally respect the governor for the decisions that she made, and it was great for the, you know, the lives that were saved here and the people who live in this community. On the presenting side, you know, our doors were closed. Yeah. But we were super busy.
You were?
So we did all sorts of online programming. We, you know, worked within the number of the guidelines for number of people who could be in a room at a time. We invited local musicians to still come to the stage, and we videoed them, and we presented those in little concerts each week. We invited students who didn't have an opportunity to do their end of season performances to the stage so that they had a chance to share that before they headed off to college. We, you know, and did lots of other online concerts and events during that time. We created a total of 5 different series in the course of the year and a half that the doors were closed. And I was joking that, you know, I never want to do it again, but it yet was strangely fun.
Yeah.
you know, because we're a community, we're a community supported space, and there's no way that we just go and hibernate during that time. We had to stay engaged, and we had to
Yeah.
continue to bring the arts to people, and so we just found different ways to do it.
How quick was that pivot for you?
Almost immediate. Almost immediate. We went through that, you know, there was that little window of time where we were just kind of waiting and getting a sense of what this really looked like. You remember when everyone started baking
Sure.
bread and stuff. And then what really changed it for us is when that first PPP was coming along, and we had the ability to keep our staff that much longer. We knew we had 2 months with people here. So it honestly took us, it was less than 2 months before we started. It was probably about 6 weeks before we started thinking of how do we engage.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, in actually creating things, we were sharing links to people about concerts, and you know, those great things like Willie Nelson and everyone were doing concerts right away,
Right.
and just sharing, here's how you can get some entertainment, here's how you can get something. But then we started creating programs within 6 weeks, and just continued to develop those things. And then I will also say our arts education program here, it's the largest in the state. We had 18,000 kids that were engaged in education programs in 2019. And during the quarantine year, we still engaged 16,000 kids in education programs while they were sitting at their computers at home. So, you know, we kept up with a lot of our commitments in the community. We just had to find different ways to do it.
Where did you get your ideas from? Did you have a network? Did you have an association that was feeding you emails? And where did that come from? Just
It
from
was
you?
it was from me and from staff.
And what did that look like? Were you guys just on the phone immediately saying, "Hey, we got to keep this place open. How can we keep the community engaged?"
You know, we had lots of meetings and things. You know, we got on Zoom like everybody did, and you know, but it really, like I said, as soon as we knew we had the PPP, we had to figure out how we could utilize that staff to help set us up for a long-term success. And so that's what we did with our bodies during that time, is that we figured out how we could reuse set things up on the stage, how we could make recordings. We used our networks in the community to continue to develop things during that time, but we got people to work. And then, you know, like everyone, we had to start laying people off at a certain point just from the economic side of it. We also, you know, and at the same time, I mean, other than the programming thing, you know, as a nonprofit, we jumped into fundraising hard. You know, if we're going to see our way through to the other side, we knew we needed resources to get there, because we, you know, nobody knew about government loans at that point. Nobody knew
Right.
about all of the support that was going to come down the line.
What is it? What is it that made you and your facility different than some of the others that we've talked to who didn't pivot quickly and didn't um, become proactive and reactive?
You know, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, again, every community is really different, and I've been on things where I've been, you know, I've been on committees reviewing like NEA grant applications and things like that, and each community is really different, and it depends on, you know, what the function of that art center is in the community, and what kind of support it gets, and the way that they engage that public. So, I mean, there are lots of differences that go with that. You know, certainly for what we are as an organization, it never was a doubt that we were going to remain engaged with people. It was just, how do we do it? And then just trying to find the need. And I'm, you know, I think particularly in this line of work, you never take off the entrepreneurial hat, because
Right.
everything keeps changing.
Yeah.
You know, the kinds of arts that you can present, the ways that you can do it, the things that are required for it are different from event by event. And so you really have to keep moving along with things in order to just stay current.
Yeah. No, I think you keyed on it with the just that inner entrepreneur as you go through there. That's great. We spent a lot of time on that because I think it's important for people to understand how to react when adversity hits, and to really appreciate the people who react quickly and pivot quickly as we go through there. Tell us a little bit about some of the activities you have at the Performing Arts Center.
Well, so the Lensic is a 91-year-old building now. It was built right at the start of the Great Depression. It was a gift to the community by an immigrant who had done very well, stayed in Santa Fe, and was supported by the community. And so it was built as a vaudeville house and as a movie theater, and spent, 70 years in that stance. And then, like a lot of single screen movie theaters in downtowns, all the business went to the multiplexes in the mall at a certain point and kind of fell into disuse here. But the community built it into a performing arts center right at the turn of the millennium. And part of that was that there was a need from a lot of different groups, different presenting organizations, and we have 2 symphony orchestras in Santa Fe. There's a chamber music festival. Those were kind of our key renters during that time. And, so we made a home for those performances. We still have a lot of that key constituency that's still with us. And then we have some other groups that work with, so we have kind of 3 key presenters in the building. We have 2 orchestras, we have a lecture series, we have all these other things that go on here. And so we have about 200 events a year that take place in the theater. And it's very wide. So we give from everything. Jack White is going to be performing here tomorrow night. Which is going to be sweet. And then next week, Tower of Power and the Waylon Jennys. And over the year, we've got, lots of things that are just, great popular music acts that come here. We have a lot of dance in the theater, classical music, the lectures that I talked about, both with a local nonprofit that brings these programs in. There's also a university in town that does a lecture series. So the variety of events that we have is very broad, which is terrific. And that's one of the real joys, I think, about working in this space. If you're in most other cities, it takes 2 to 3 theaters because everyone seems to have kind of their specialty of what they do. But we turn things around super fast. So great variety of things, and you can always see something new.
That's very cool. How do people find out more about the Lensic Center?
If you go, the webpage is the obvious spot. If you go to lensic.org, we have a full calendar of events. There are videos and information and things there that you can find some more about our upcoming shows. And always new things coming in.
Now, we've had some serious conversations. Let's have a little bit of fun for just a moment. Joel, what's your personal all-time favorite concert you've ever seen?
Personal all-time favorite concert, it was Prince in San Diego. Best money I ever spent was joining the New Power Generation fan club, and I had seats literally in the front row. I was 3 feet away from Prince.
That's awesome. That's awesome. If you could bring one act, dead or alive, to the Lensic Arts Center, who would you bring?
Oh my God, dead or alive?
Dead or alive.
Jesus. Elvis?
No, for sure.
I'd go, or that seems like a good starting spot.
That seems like a great starting spot. That's fantastic. Very good. Well, thank you, Joel, for being on with us today. I really appreciate the insight from just the leadership standpoint that you took during COVID. And we really don't talk much about COVID anymore, but I think it's important because it's important for businesses and organizations to see how a quick pivot can really save a group in a center from really surviving something like that. So that's vitally important. I appreciate your input.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Jake.
You bet.
Well, baby, I'm on it with a bottle of wine.